Hi guys, this is Shay with Straight Talk. Unfortunately, Sunny is not here today, but I certainly am, and we are going to be talking about a protest which is affecting millions and millions of people. You will have seen the hashtag I Stand With Farmers or the hashtag Farmers Protest. Well, Britasia TV has been covering the full protest, not only here across the UK, but also what is happening in India right now as well. And I'm really delighted to say that we are joined by Ravi Singh from Khalsa Aid to find out more about the impact that this protest is having on Punjabi farmers. Ravi, thank you so much for joining me. I'm just going to pop my headphones
Thank
on
you.
because you know what I'm like. I need to be able to fully hear you. But
Sure.
look, Ravi, I stand with farmers, or hashtag we support Punjab farmers, or hashtag no farmers, no food. This is now trending worldwide. It's on social media, and the Punjabi community is really coming together. Before we talk a little bit about what's happening in India, set the context for me as to why Khalsa Aid has not just been supporting farmers in the last week. You've actually been supporting farmers in the last couple of months since all of this began in India. So just kind of set that context of what's been the relationship between Khalsa Aid, yourself, and the Punjabi farmers.
I think a lot of people think that farmer protests only started recently.
Yeah.
When the farmers marched to Delhi. But there's been agitations, dharnas they call it, protests, organized protests, several places in Punjab I'm aware of, and the main on the Shimbu border, the Haryana border with Delhi and Punjab. These protests were building up to what now has become a major protest in Delhi. And where Khalsa Aid got involved was that our Khalsa Aid team in India has been providing langar, hot meals, to those that were attending those protests. And I think some of the people, some of your people listening in, watching this program, they won't know the background. There have been people staying in the open, cooking, living, washing in the open for the last several months before they moved on to Delhi.
Okay.
It's a build-up of many talks around villages, many protests, many organized protests, organized lectures, educational awareness what was happening to the farmers, and then it led on to the major.
So for anyone who isn't too aware about the Punjabi protesters, and it's important to say, although the majority at the moment are Punjabi farmers, they have now got nationwide support in India from farmers across the whole country. This is not a Sikh issue, this is a farmer issue. And I think that's been one of the biggest misconceptions, actually, especially in certain press that is trying to make this about religion when it is not about religion, it's about agriculture. Would you, before I set the context, would you agree with that? Because it seems to be a lot of, there's a lot of people that are coming out and saying, oh, this is just something to do with Sikhs. This is to do with the religion, to do with the faith. It's not at all, is it? It is predominantly affecting farmers. And as we know in India, the majority of Punjab, is all about farming. But actually, there are farmers across the country who are coming together to support Punjabi farmers.
Yes, of course. I think we're victims of very deep-rooted propaganda that this is a Sikh-only movement. I think because Sikhs are very visible with their turbans and beards, but this is the whole Punjabi movement. It's the similar sort of movement happened in the early 80s called Dharm Yudh Morcha, where the rights of the Punjabis were put forward, not just the Sikhs, like the water issues, electric issues. But then the government turned that into a Sikh issue.
Okay.
The only Sikhs asking, it became a sectarian issue. It's not a sectarian issue. This is a Punjabi issue. It's a farmer issue. Like you said, many farmers in different states are joining in.
Yeah.
What we're not seeing is so many hundreds of thousands of farmers are being held back at different borders. If they started joining this protest, the Punjabis and the people from Haryana, it'll be chaos in Delhi. So they've been held back.
And that's the important aspect, isn't it? Because as we know, Punjab, has many people living in, this state, which is got people from the Sikh religion, the Muslim religion, the Christian religion, the Hindu religion. Punjab has always had and will always have people from different faiths. So I think it's really important that we kind of understand this isn't about religion.
Diversity is who we are.
Exactly.
Punjabis, especially where we come from now, my village is half Muslim.
Yeah.
I grew up in a small village with so much love and understanding with each other. It's only when I came to England, I saw this hatred or something. But we, as Sikhs and Punjabis especially, our doors, our hearts are open all the time. We don't care who, we feed everyone.
Exactly. And that's been, I think, the biggest learning curve for people. There's a lot of people who are now watching what's happening in India. And to be quite honest with you, they'd never heard of Punjabis. They didn't know there was an issue with regards to farming. And now they've woken up and they're like, oh, okay, these people are galvanizing, but they're galvanizing and getting together, not just in India, and they're getting together across the world. So for anyone who doesn't fully understand exactly what is going on, there's a countrywide strike by farmers in India, and it's amidst a standoff with the government over some new farm laws. There's been 3 rounds of inconclusive talks between the two sides over the laws, and the farmers very much at this point are saying that these bills are against their best interest. They're frustrated, they're upset at the fact that they weren't consulted initially when these bills were even put through. So let's talk about that then, Ravi. Why are we seeing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in countries like Australia, America, Germany, England, Scotland, all corners of the earth coming out and doing rallies? We just recently had a rally in London which had thousands, tens of thousands of people come together and peacefully protest about no farmers, no food. Why are we seeing people from all over the world coming together with this?
Well, first of all, just a different point. When the government passed these 3 laws, there was no discussion in Parliament.
Right.
Normally in the democratic process, there will be discussion to pass. They just passed the bills, be done with, and that was it, black and white. There was no discussion, debate. There should have been debate and discussion within Parliament with cross parties. There was none. So it was like basically hurried through. Why are we seeing all these protests? I mean, I think the main reason, if you ask most of the protesters, it's not even now the issues with the farmers. I think that becomes secondary. Prime is the way the farmers have been treated. I think that really struck a chord in so many people, that people watching elderly farmers, women, men being soaked by water cannon in freezing winter. They were still carrying on peaceful. They were tear gassed. And, as you know, I work in different parts of the world, different war zones or whatever. And then I saw myself, but the police in Haryana on the borders on the way to Delhi, because the farmers were going to Delhi. Just let's make this clear. The farmers were traveling to Delhi, practicing their lawful means to protest.
That's right.
Peaceful. They have the lawful means to do it.
Of course.
Like, for instance, Washington, the Million Man March.
Yeah.
There's no barricades.
Yeah.
So what I saw was that the government they actually dug their own roads up. They made trenches, massive, huge holes in the roads. You could say they put a construction site on the road with containers, sand, machinery, just to stop these farmers. It's like a war zone. It reminded me of, like, I've been traveling in the Middle East when there's a war, invading enemy.
Right.
I think that the people have been really moved by the spirit of the farmers, the people protesting from Punjab, from Haryana, that under these circumstances, the young, the old, and it's freezing weather, they're soaked, and they still continued to march towards Delhi. I think that's what inspired, seeing the violence against them, and then seeing their spirit inspired people, young and old. When I was in London myself, I got stuck in that traffic. I was one of those guys in that, car rally, looking at like thousands of people. I didn't mind the traffic jams, but I was there for the same reason. I'm in solidarity with the spirit of the people that had to put up with the water cannon in freezing winter. We don't have to do that in London at the moment. We can go and protest. So you can see, as you said, all these cities, millions of Punjabis marched, in other parts of the world protested. There was no water cannons, tear gas, none of it. So, I think that's the main reason that we are deeply hurt at the way every time Punjab has got up to protest, it's become a shoot to kill or something or the other.
Let's talk about it, because there are going to be those people who are watching Britasia and they are like, look, I myself am Punjabi. I come from a farmer's family. I am 100% behind the peaceful protests, and I believe it's a democracy and that's what should be happening, right? So let's clear that out. And they will be saying, I'm 100% behind this. But then they will be angry and they will be upset, because we saw images that have now gone worldwide. And I'm going to focus on London for a moment because that was one of the biggest rallies that has taken place to date. And it was only a couple of days ago. We saw people deciding to use what is a peaceful protest to do with agriculture, to do with farming. Again, nothing to do with religion, as we've already established. They were walking and they were wearing Khalistani flags, Khalistani T-shirts, and they were using it as an opportunity to highlight a very separate discussion and separate issue. So can you understand why there are some people who are like, why are you now choosing this time when people are coming together peacefully to bring about something, whether you believe in Khalistan or not, is actually irregardless of the matter. But you're using now as the time to talk about something which has got nothing to do with the farmers' rights. How do you feel about that? And, what do you think about that?
Yeah, very interesting because there's a lot of debate going on social media on many of these issues. First, I would like to say that I think we are very blessed to be in a country where we can have anybody protesting anything. Like we go to Hyde Park Corner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
You've
Speaker's
got people,
Corner.
Speaker's Corner,
That's
they're
right.
discussing their own
Yeah.
religions, faith.
Anything.
And, that is the freedom that
Freedom of speech.
we practice. And
Yeah.
in this country, if you did the same thing in Punjab, you carry any flag. I mean, by the way, it's even, I think, been passed by the Supreme Court of India. That people wish to peacefully, politically campaign for Khalistan is legal because democratically speaking, you can ask for anything you want.
Right.
And not long ago, I made a little Facebook post. I said, hi, I want to prove to you that in Britain we can ask for anything. So I would like to ask for Ravistan between Slough and Hounslow. Will Boris now send in the army and blast me out of my house?
Goodness me.
Because, yes, so for me, yes, it's purely a farmer's issue and we should stick to the farmer's issue.
Right.
There are those youngsters who feel they can't have their say in any platform.
Okay.
So they use this platform to highlight their issue, or it could be Khalistan, it could be another campaign issue.
Okay.
But my main point, why has it become discussion point? That they may be a small minority, but the majority were doing the farmers' protest. But
do you feel like the media is not focusing on the majority?
It's quite actually deep-rooted because if you look at the farmers that are going into Delhi, the right-wing Indian group, first of all, labeled them as terrorists, Khalistanis, anti-nationals.
That's right.
So there's no flags there. There was nobody carrying anything.
That's right.
So they labeled that group. And then there's groups in the UK, USA, carrying their flags. They always carry the flags to say, look, they're Khalistani, they believe in Khalistan. I don't think anything wrong with that. But yes, this is a farmer protest and we need to stick to the farming.
Yeah.
So I do appeal to anyone, if you're going to a protest, stick to the farmer protest.
Right.
But if you do want to protest about something else, I got no issues with it because, they're not waiting. Like, I think the word you used is like it was a peaceful protest and then you saw some Khalistani flags.
Yeah.
It didn't become a war zone.
No, you're right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. And
I'm
look,
just saying.
I'm not. Let me be clear.
I'm just saying the word Khalistan suddenly
becomes
people
a
start
negative.
thinking like, oh my God, it's a Khalistan flag and we're going to start bombing people or something.
Yeah. I think that's really important.
Which is very
You're
negative.
Right. Yeah, I agree
if
with you.
we believe in democracy, then, you yourself can bring any flag you want.
That's right.
And start, even an Iraqi flag or Indian flag, start waving it because this country is, so we have the right to do it. But if you're saying to me, what sort of protest we should stick to? Yeah. It's a farmer issue. We don't want to dilute it. Yeah. But it doesn't mean the other people are wrong. It may be the wrong timing.
That's it. That's what that's the thing, you see. Like when I wanted to talk about this and I was so excited, and I know Britasia was that you would come out especially to speak with us about this because it's important, isn't it? That
people don't want to talk about these issues. They feel they're afraid to talk about it.
And they're afraid to talk about it. But also if we're going to talk about it, let's be upfront and honest.
I mean, I know many youngsters that carry the Khalistan flag. Okay. They wear the T-shirts day and night. Okay. They've been directly affected by the violence in the 80s. Yeah. At the hands of the state. Yes. Including myself. My brother we call him my brother from village, we grew up together, was tortured in 5 different police stations. Goodness. He was killed purely for being who he was. Right. So I have my own, you could call differences with the Indian government, and I make it very clear, the human rights. Yeah. But
what you're
maybe
saying
I'll wear
is,
a T-shirt. Yeah. Maybe they've gone through that trauma. So for them, They've seen the violence, they've seen the torture, they've
But
seen
wh-
the
but
fake
what-
encounters. So for them, this is the way out. Yes, it's not the right platform, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean they're wrong to
Exactly, and that's-
to wave the flags.
Exactly, and that's what I was trying to come in on is to say to you is it's not in any way you and I discussing this is not us saying we are for
No,
or
of course,
against
of course,
something.
of course, yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's going to be, I feel it's important to ask you that question because
No, I
there's
understand.
many people in the community who are looking to what Khalsa Aid is doing right now, and they feel really proud because they feel that Khalsa Aid is the representation that they want
Yeah.
of the peaceful protests and how we here in this country are supporting something that is affecting farmers, right? And Punjabi farmers for that, and absolutely the majority are Sikh, that's correct. But like you yourself said, the one thing that we've seen the farmers themselves in India saying right now, who, like you've just said, they've left their homes, they're sleeping on the grounds, they have, no roofs over their head, is the fact that everyone needs to come together to support this. This is a wider issue
Of
than
course.
just religion. So I want to talk to you about that if I can for a moment.
I was talking to one of our HR advisors for Khalsa Aid, and
Right.
he said he's got an uncle lives in a rural village in Punjab. He said he's never left his village to even go to the next village 2 miles away.
Right, okay.
Yet he's sitting in Delhi
Wow.
in this winter protesting. And he says,
Wow.
I can't work out, what made him do it.
Yeah.
Apart from that, he's going to lose everything.
Yeah,
So you got people who would never normally protest,
yeah.
who are now sitting in protest in Delhi.
So let me ask you 2 questions about that. Firstly, it's important for us to contextualize again. BJP is saying that actually these bills are going to allow private individuals, private corporates, private players really a bigger role in the farming sector. So it's not actually going to hurt farmers' incomes. Are you interested in what it comes down to with regards to the bills and what is being discussed? Or for you, is it more just the fact that you want to support the farmers in their protest and allow them to do it peacefully? Where do you stand on that? Are you not necessarily as interested at this point about the specifics around what the government is saying, the specifics around what the associations are saying? Because we know, by the way, 15 opposition parties have now come out and they're actually backing what is happening. They are backing the peaceful protests. And that's, also important to say that opposition parties are now coming around this and rallying around to say, okay, no, we need to hear the voices of the farmers.
It's sad that it took such a step by the farmers to be heard.
Right.
I mean, farmers, we've been considering from Khalsa Aid how to assist the farmers in Punjab, not just, food rations or whatever, but
Yeah.
with long-term research and development, how we can help the farmers. And now the farmers are out of desperation. They've been killing themselves. Suicides, farmer suicides are quite up across India. Now, with this bill, if you're asking me, is it right for them to do this? Is it the right way of doing it? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind the farmers.
Okay.
And what really upset me is when the farmers started out to protest, they were labeled as separatists, Khalistani terrorists. These guys weren't waving a single flag.
No.
Because they were Punjabi.
Yeah.
But other farmers have been doing it from Haryana, UP, Rajasthan. Why are they not being called separatists or terrorists? Why is it only the Punjabi farmers being called that? It's very interesting because I remember the debate and then I asked the question. I said, what about the farmers on UP? Mm-hmm. Are they Khalistani? And it's very interesting that it's always people from Punjab that suffer the most. But I can very proudly say, as a Punjabi, it makes me, really, I feel so great saying it, that whenever there's injustice, it's Punjabis that lead the way.
Well, let's talk about that then, because, in recent years, the world's biggest film industry has made hundreds of millions of pounds off of the back of the stories of Punjabis, right? And of course, I'm talking about Bollywood. One of the other biggest frustrations has been for a lot of the Punjabi community is the fact that when Bollywood wants to make a quick buck, if you want to call it that, they will always have a Bhangra song in each, Bollywood film. There'll always be the token Punjabi in each Bollywood film. In recent years, we've seen, better films being made to kind of recognize the Punjabi community, so they're not just, the comedic aspect of any Bollywood film. But one thing that's hurt a lot of people is the silence from Bollywood. When the Black Lives Matter movement was taking place, when it initially started up, and there was a lot of gravitas behind it in the summer, we saw many Bollywood stars coming out and tweeting, Facebooking about an issue which is important. It's highly important that we raise our voices in solidarity of the Black Lives Matter movement. But there were people who were saying, hold on, you're not talking about the injustices that are happening in your own country. And now we see when these peaceful protests are being met with disproportionate force, that is now a proven fact. We have seen that happening, regardless of who you want to blame. There has been a real silence from a lot of the Bollywood stars. In fact, the only person at this point, only two people at this point who have come out and spoken about this, firstly is Kangana Ranaut, who has been brought down a peg or two by Diljit Dosanjh with what she has incorrectly been saying, specifically around a Punjabi BBG. And secondly is Priyanka Chopra, who's not getting involved necessarily in what is happening on a political basis. And that's understandable. She's not a politician, but she has tweeted in response to what Diljit Dosanjh has talked about in terms of the ekta of India. What's your thoughts and perspectives on this?
Well, I'm not too sure. I remember when there's a threat of war with Pakistan, I think was it last year when there was a bombing in Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah.
There was almost two countries going to war. Mm-hmm. And her tweets were very helpful, Priyanka's tweets. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you can use Priyanka as a good example because when...
I'm not using an example, I'm saying she's the only person.
I know, but
she's the only
one. A lot
of
Punjabis remember when she sent the condolences when the butcher of Punjab, KP Gill, died. He was known as a butcher policeman. He killed a lot of youngsters in fake encounters. And she put his tweet about condolences. So, but, first of all, let's congratulate the Punjabi singers who have come out amazing. It took courage for everyone, especially Diljit now, who's in Bollywood. Mm-hmm. He knows there'll be a backlash, and he still went ahead. And almost every Punjabi singer that I've seen in Britasia, the pictures here, has come to the protest and even to a Khalsa Aid stall.
Right.
It's amazing. There's so much love. And we expect that. With Bollywood has always been very pro when it comes to like any conflict with Pakistan. They will be tweeting like hell. Mm-hmm. I remember last year they couldn't stop tweeting like their allegiances. But when it's Hollywood, Hollywood always most actors are tweeting peace. Yeah, we basically Bollywood is the other way around. So yes, Bollywood being silent again is because it's probably a Punjab, and Kapil Sharma also has come out now. Mm-hmm. Said that Punjab farmers, I think he's in support of them. So Bollywood generally is quiet, has always been quiet when it comes to Punjab. It seems to be like some sort of a disease that they can't open their mouth when the common person is suffering.
Does it anger you or does it sadden you?
Sunny Deol became an MP of Gurdaspur.
Right.
People voted for him, so partly people are to blame.
He's now a politician.
So a politician, an actor, and there's a massive farming protest, and he's missing in action. He doesn't say a word, and yet he's member of Parliament for Gurdaspur. I think that area, which is very rural area, needs a lot of support as well. He's not said anything, not a single thing. He should have come out, said something, made a statement, and he's not even in existence as an MP. He doesn't even attend, I think, once. Since he's been an MP last year, we put one question in Parliament. So we need to look at ourselves. Why are you choosing MPs like that? So Bollywood, I think people, if you expect something from them, you'll be deeply disappointed.
So that's what I was going to say. Are you angered? Are you disappointed?
Disappointed. I'm not angered because we expect it.
Okay.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed thinking, okay, maybe, they'll come in like force. But even, I think some of the big names that play with the Pagaman, they put the turbans on people like Akshay Kumar and all that. Absolute silence. Yeah, when it comes to making money, they dress up as Singhs, the ultimate warriors. But when it comes to actually delivering something, to say, look, stand with the farmers, not even Sikh, Hindu, Christian issue, it's a farming issue.
As we've established.
They're so scared to do it.
Yeah.
Grow a pair, man, grow a pair.
I want to talk to you just finally about something which, firstly, as a woman, touched me, but I know it's touched millions of women, and it's crossed the borders, irregardless of you being, black, white, Asian. It doesn't really matter. Khalsa Aid is not just providing free langar. It's not just providing support to farmers, because it's important. This is not just about farmers, it's about their families as well. We've seen hundreds and thousands of women coming out, and they are also sleeping on the same streets as the men. They are there, a part of the peaceful protest. And the organisation Khalsa Aid is now providing free sanitary pads to the women that will obviously need it because of the menstrual cycle. This is something that, for some reason, is such a taboo
subject,
that no one wants to talk about. And it's like, well, hold on. We all have children. We
Yeah.
all have
It's
to.
like unspoken.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous. The idea that no one feels comfortable to
Yeah.
talk about a menstrual cycle. It's the most natural thing
Yeah.
that any woman will go through in order, if they want to, of course, have a child, right? That's the whole process. So was it really important for Khalsa Aid to make that a clear distinction, to say this is not a taboo and we are going to do everything we can to support the young women, the older women, when it comes to their menstrual cycle, and provide the sanitary pads and the sanitary support and the hygiene that the women will need, obviously, during this time?
We've started doing it after the Nepal earthquake in 2015. My wife
Right.
was there as well.
Yeah.
She talked to the team there. What about sanitary pads for the women?
Yeah.
It was a taboo subject, especially for the volunteers from India who are a bit shy about these things.
Yeah.
And now we got Amarpreet Singh, the co-director for India. He's very, very forward thinking, and now he's distributing sanitary pads, which a lot of people like taken back, saying, they won't talk very openly. They go, Khalsa is giving this, and they're giving some other support. It's like
Why not just say it?
They won't say it. But we Khalsa Aid ourselves.
Yeah.
From the UK, we've been started a program in Africa last year.
Right.
Called Pad the Path. We've
Brilliant.
been supplying
Brilliant.
reusable sanitary pads,
Okay.
packs with soap, everything.
Amazing.
To women, school-age girls and women in Malawi and Zambia.
Because we know that there are certain parts in the world where sadly...
Many parts of the world.
Yeah, where sadly young girls have died because they've not had the right
They've
hygiene.
died because of hygiene, and they can't attend school.
Exactly.
When they their time of the month.
Yep.
They have to stay home, and
Yep.
there's also that taboo. It's an evil spell sort of thing. So we are now educating. We don't just distribute, say 4 or 5 pads in a pack to a girl.
Yeah.
We hold workshops.
Brilliant.
We educate them.
Amazing.
So you can, the last 18 months, we give soap, we give this, we give the whole lot.
Yeah.
So we're not shy about it. I think we need to talk about it. It's like all these taboo topics. It's like suddenly like people say, what's under your turban?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's asked me what's under. It's hair. It's not bloody
Yeah.
barred and that. It's like a bus or something in my turban. People say, don't talk about my hair. Oh my God. It's like,
Yeah.
You become like really like embarrassed or shy to talk about something. We need to be very open.
We need to
We
normalize
don't
it.
talk
Yeah.
about domestic violence. What do you say if you see someone getting beaten by their husband? This is a very common thing, and I think you'll feel the same when you ask somebody old saying, "Oh, they're being beaten by their husband." Oh, koi nahi, apne kar khush hai. Don't worry about it. They're happy in their house. Like ignore it because their
Yeah.
marriage might break up.
Yeah.
Why should a woman have to stay with a guy who beats her day and night?
Exactly.
Because we think it's honor.
Yeah.
That she can't leave
Yeah.
him. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of taboo subjects that we do not talk about, and these pads
Yeah.
are one of them. So we're very proud of the team that's distributing these.
I think genuinely, as I've said at the beginning, irregardless of where you stand politically, whether you support the protest or not, it's an important issue. And by giving out these free sanitary pads for women who are on their periods, when they're on the menstrual cycle, it sends such a strong message. So, I know there are so many people that want to thank Khalsa Aid for doing that. You're not the only charity that's there. There are many, many others that
There
are there.
some amazing individuals from the villages
Yeah.
that nobody talks about, which I've seen the pictures. They're making food day and night.
Wow.
Let's
talk about the longer.
Khalsa Aid is just one part.
Yeah, of course.
I think I'm not here to collect money for Khalsa Aid to say we're the best. This protest is actually real people's protest.
Yeah.
Have you seen they set up langar,
They have.
food,
Yeah.
the chulle, at the ovens? They just set it up everywhere and they're bathing. You got these water cannons on them.
Yeah.
And the guys are bathing. We bathe in cold water 2 a.m. anyway.
Exactly. So we'll just bathe now.
It's like,
Just do it.
they got their manje, the beds, they
Yeah.
got the tractors, they got,
They've come for the long haul,
They
haven't
come
they?
for the long haul.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that the Punjabi spirit lives
Yeah.
on. So
Can I
this
ask you just
protest is
finally?
just amazing.
Let me just talk to you about the positives of this. As I said to you earlier on, that there's a lot of people who didn't even know about Punjab, and I'm talking about on the western side of
Yeah.
things, who now are like, oh my goodness, I didn't know about, this part of the world and the agriculture. It's just like, the farming community, especially in places like Yorkshire in this country, are like, they're completely standing in solidarity because they can see the similarities. Farmers across the world affected by this. But I just finally want to talk to you about one of the big positives, as you say. We've seen the images of, langar, which for anyone who is watching this and doesn't know what langar means, it is essentially just free food, which has been given out. Community kitchen, which has been given out irregardless of your background. It doesn't matter about your faith. If you would like to eat food, you're able to do that. And we're seeing even the police officers that are actually combating the protesters being fed, sat down after the protests, and they are then receiving langar, right? And surely that is something that we need to talk about, but also mark and celebrate the fact that regardless of what's going on, the Guru Ka Langar is still being given to everyone. It really doesn't matter.
I remember an interview by a farmer from UP, speaking in Hindi.
Yeah.
He said, we want to go and to join our Sikh brothers and Punjabi brothers in Delhi because they've seen the langar. He goes, but for us, it's difficult to travel, with all the food, and wish we had the langar concept. It's amazing, how the concept. So we can be beaten by the same person and we'll feed them, because that's what we do. We're humanitarians.
Exactly.
We don't sort of like say, well, he's a soldier, he's a policeman, he's against us. Pai Kanhaiyaji's stories about feeding water, food and giving water to whoever's thirsty. It could be an enemy soldier. Yeah. At the end of the day, still a person. So we have so much compassion.
Humanity first.
So much compassion. So when one of the media asked me, on Indian media, what about if 2 million, 3 people turned up? I said, we'll feed them all.
Yeah.
I said,
the
bring it on. We
there.
will not stop anyone. We will feed everyone. That's the thing about Punjabis. Just to give your listeners, viewers, an idea. Up to about 1963 or 4, something like that, I don't know, 100-something thousand tons of grain used to come from America. Now Punjab gives that to India.
Wow.
That's the level of passion for farming in Punjab.
Yeah.
But we share.
Yeah.
The langar concept comes from that, abundance of harvest that we'll share. Even if we don't have much for ourselves, we still share. And that's where the concept of Khalsa Aid is.
Two final points that I've got to ask you, and then we'll let you go, because I know you're a busy guy, Ravi, and there's a lot of work to be done, and genuinely we really appreciate you taking time out to speak to us. Firstly, you mentioned it, I did want to talk about it. There are those that are saying, finally, this is actually an opportunity to talk about the real plight that farmers are going through across India, and that is the farmer suicide rates, which are on the increase year by year. In recent times, we haven't really seen a lot of mainstream coverage or press around farmer suicides. Do you think that this is now a real opportunity moving forward for people to address the fact that farmers are quite literally killing themselves because of farming and the way that agriculture works in certain parts of India?
Yeah, in some parts of India it's very, very bad. There are parts of southern India with actual hunger in the farming community is terrible. Mm-hmm. I think the deeper you probe into it, the more you'll see. Some of the pictures, some of the stories are absolute, and this is a real time now. It's happening now.
Yeah,
it's horrible, and now definitely I think more so the fact that you got elderly farmers who are protesting on these borders, etc., braving the freezing cold, because that is their future. They're fighting for every inch of their future, every second, every day of their future. They don't see if this laws come into force, which I think they already have, means that the way of life is going to be over. They're already struggling. I think 70% of the Indian farmers are small landholders.
Right.
They're the majority. That's why there's so much passion. So yes, I think people will do it. I mean, we've been planning for a while. So now we're talking to some of the farming experts. As of now, today coming to your interview, I was on the phone with some of the people in India as well. We want to do more, but we want to do it in a measured way. That is a long-term research, how the farmers can benefit.
Right.
Because the land is getting tired of fertilizers, sorts of all the poisonous chemicals. So there
are wider issues, aren't there?
So so people want to give to charities. open your mind, open your eyes. Don't just open your heart. Sometimes we start giving. I'm not saying to you give to Khalsa Aid because we're not sure yet. We're all debating which way to turn.
Okay.
But I hope if any organisation or charity in Punjab is working with the farmers and they want to work together, we'll be happy because this is for the greater cause.
That was going to be my final question for anyone who's watching this, that maybe they feel helpless, Ravi, maybe they are just looking back to their, their motherland, which, they maybe were only there this time last year, and they may be sat in tears thinking, I can't do anything. I want to be there. I want to help in whatever way I can. What would you say to them in terms of how can people support if all they want to do is to support farmers?
Well, two things. One is, if they come from particular villages, help their own villages. Because a pound or a dollar goes a long way, pound, dollar, euro, if you spend it the right way. So if you got 4 or 5 families living abroad, well-to-do, you can actually support your village. It doesn't cost too much. And they can get in touch with us saying, look, we have 5 families in this village. We can spare this much annually.
Right, for education,
our donation,
for food. Right.
or farming, or donate, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What can we do with it? And then the other one is social media awareness. It's very, very important that when you're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you hashtag. When you hashtag stand with farmers,
I stand with farmers.
Farmer protest, when you're hashtagging, it reaches more people. So you can actually help raise their awareness and their plight. But everything has to start in your own village. You might think like, I'll donate to Khalsa Aid, another charity. That's fine. We will do what we can. But I rather that people got together and formed small cooperative societies or clubs from abroad within their villages to help directly, and we will help them all the way.
Well, listen, Ravi, it's been a real pleasure having you here at Britasia TV, and thank you so much for catching up with us. I'm sure we'll be following up this in the new year to find out how things develop. Would you be up for coming back and catching up with us? As you say, this is definitely in for the long haul, so we'll have to wait and see. If you'd like further details for Ravi Singh, you can go to Khalsa Aid, and of course the hashtag is #IStandWithFarmers.